Let's talk.
Todd, welcome to the second episode of end.formants. END.formants. You can find us on Facebook. It's our world. Let's talk about it. Go in for it. We just started off last week, and we are starting off the same way that we ended last week, with the same president, same problems with Hurricane Sandy. Paula, you were looking for a new president. That didn't happen. What's your feelings now?
Well, Lisa, it wasn't like I was really looking for a new president. I just was looking for somebody other than Barack Obama, but it is what it is, and he won. So we all have to, accept that and just hope and pray that he gets on board and does a better job this term. As far as Hurricane Sandy, it's obvious that Obama's fast reaction in visiting the Northeast was simply a political opportunity. Because when you think about it, it took him 8 days to visit Joplin, Missouri, after a tornado wiped out half the town and killed 120 people. It took him 14 days to go to the Gulf Coast after the BP oil spill. He declined to visit Tennessee after the historic 1,000-year flood. He ignored the Texas wildfires where 400 homes were lost. And of course, most recently, he ignored the calls from Benghazi, where we lost our U.S. ambassador and Navy SEALs. I find it very coincidental that it took him just 1 day to visit Hurricane Sandy victims. That's, of course, because the election was the following week.
Okay. I hear you. I think it's embarrassing that it's taken us almost 14 days to put people back with power when we're living in the United States of America. Brian, I'm going to shoot over to you. You got the president that you wanted.
Well, at least the least bad of them, anyway. But anyway, let that be. I feel, first of all, the chickens are coming home to roost.
Who are you, Jeremiah Wright?
No,
the chickens are coming home to roost. They're coming home to roost.
Kindly allow me to finish.
Praise the Lord.
Well, no, not praise the Lord, but Sandy was a superstorm. It was over 900 miles. It was spread over 900 miles at once. This has not been seen before with hurricanes. This is a pretty direct product of the climate change about which we have mostly had our heads stuck in the sand. Another part of it is the fact that we have failed for 30 years to update and to update our infrastructure and keep it at least up to par. We used to lead the blanking world in infrastructure, and we have neglected this for 30 years, and now we are reaping the bitter harvest.
Well, I know that Jenny has some strong feelings about global warming. But Jenny, I first want you to address how you felt the next morning when you woke up and President Obama was still our president.
Honestly, I was really, really happy. I have to admit that, I was really worried about some of the things that could happen if Mitt Romney was our president. And, I was probably overly concerned. I mean, everybody was polarizing, and, there's a lot of checks to keep the president from doing half of what he said, what he wants to do. So, we probably would have survived if Mitt Romney had gotten in. But at the same time, I'm just glad that I don't have to find out. But, I'm trying to keep it kind of down low because I'm really getting sick of some of the people. Not you, Paula. You obviously are, quite happy and content, or maybe not happy, but you're content. But I've really been watching my Facebook walls continue to whine about how people who feel like their side lost.
The Democrats are still winning over Bush winning, and that was what, from 2000.
That bugs me too. I mean, so I'm personally trying to lead by example by saying, okay, I was happy. I'm happy, but I'm not going to go around going, yay, yay, yay. So I hope that other people will, follow my example and just get back to normal.
Okay, so I'm going to go with Tina and ask Tina how she felt when she woke up the next morning. President Obama and the hurricane victims still there.
Well, as far as the president goes, I would have been happy either way. I'm okay with it. It's not a problem. He has a lot of things that I'm happy about. Mitt Romney, there would have been things for him that I was happy with also. As far as Hurricane Sandy, I have family out there, and that's not even the issue, really. I just think that they should move a little quicker. I agree with Paula as far as Obama going out there before the elections, and we just need to get them everything they need.
Absolutely.
Yes. Oh, for
I
sure.
agree.
For sure.
Well, okay, so Paula, what do you think could have been done? Besides the fact that LIPA has failed, what do you think could be done to hurry up these hurricane victims that have been without power for almost 14 days? I live in upstate New York. It's been 30 degrees in the evening. What would you do?
Well, I think bureaucracy at best. I think that there's too many chefs in the kitchen, if you will, and that things need to tighten up. They need to tighten up. These organizations, the local governments need to work better together. And again, I don't think Obama really did what he should have done. I think he didn't throw all his weight into, helping the victims. It was a photo op between him and Chris Christie. He really should have been eating a sandwich instead of praising Obama the way he did. It was sort of like when Obama won the Nobel Peace Prize before he did anything. He was getting hailed by Chris Christie before he did anything because he showed up for a photo op. What did he do? There's no reason in America that people should still be without power. It's absolutely ridiculous.
I agree. Does anybody have any more comments about that?
Yeah, bring it up with Con Edison.
Well, Brian, I just want you to know, I'm specifically talking about Long Island Power Authority. They've admitted they weren't ready for the storm.
Yeah.
They have outdated equipment. They took money, and it's come to find out that they didn't spend the money the way they should. Now, what do you do with that?
Ask me if I'm surprised. Ask me if I'm surprised.
Okay.
Are you surprised?
Not a bit.
Okay, so wait, let's go to another question. This one came off the Facebook, off our Facebook wall at end.formants, Facebook wall, and it's about pit bulls. So we had a question about whether or not people should be allowed to own these dogs, these pit bulls. So, Jenny, I'm going to start off with you. I know you have a comment on the wall, but I want to start off with you.
Well, I have a pit bull. She's the sweetest, most wonderful dog you have ever met in your life. And, I'm sure that the people who are opposed are going to say, oh, yeah, everyone says that. It's true, everyone says that, and there's a reason everyone says that. Pit bulls are dogs. All dogs. I mean, every dog has a personality, just like every person has a personality, but dogs are basically wonderful, marvelous creatures. Yeah. To be perfectly honest, I think that they're better than human beings most of the time. Most of them are better than most human beings. And they're just wonderful creatures. They have pure love, they have unfettered emotions, but they're just the most wonderful creature on earth. And there are different breeds, yes, and the breeds do exhibit some different traits, but they're not aggressive, particularly not the pit bulls. I mean, as breeds go, they're pretty calm. And the ones that have been aggressive to extremes are the ones that have been either trained to do that or abused until they have lashed out. How would a human being react in the same circumstances? Exactly the same way, probably even more viciously, because pit bulls are actually very sweet in nature.
Okay, well, I got something to say about that, but I hear Brian and Paula had her hands up. Yeah. First of all, I want to say that one of our followers which we should call likables, because Paula doesn't like followers because of the religious content of it,
Understood.
which I understand. So we're gonna start calling them likables. How's that, Paula?
I like likables.
Okay, so one of our likables, John Drake, said, "Of course, that question is just ridiculous. I came up with the question, thanks, John." And he said, "Should Asians be allowed in this country? Are we going to differentiate between Japanese or Thai or Vietnamese and say one group is bad when it isn't? Dogs, all dogs are amazing, Jenny. Loving creatures, but we have a responsibility to them as a society to not only take care of them, but to raise them and treat them properly. Seeing eye dogs, hunting dogs, herding dogs, police dogs, rescue dogs, they give us so much. Without them, mankind would not be where it's at today." Paul, you had your hands up. Go ahead.
Yes, Lisa, I liken pit bulls to my ex. Sweet, but you never know when she's going to snap and bite your face off. Okay, let me tell you. First of all, let me preface this with I am an animal lover. Notably, particularly a dog lover. I love dogs. They're way better than people.
Yes.
With that said, okay, I'm going to remind everybody of the 1979 case of Frankie Scarborough, which happened right where I lived in Hollywood, Florida. It was a 7-year-old boy who was attacked for no reason by a pit bull, ripped his face off, lost an ear, most of his face, and his scalp. Doctors said that he'd have to face years of reconstructive surgery. 1980, 72-year-old Ethel Tiggs, again, mauled by 2 pit bulls. She wasn't doing anything. They just attacked. According to DogsBite.org, which is the leading organization in the U.S. that tracks dog attacks, pit bulls account for 71% of dog attacks. Now that's a pretty big percentage. I'm sorry, but Jenny, I understand what you're saying. I have friends that have pits, and they are sweet and they're docile. But you never know when they're going to snap, and the way their jaw is, when they attack, it's fatal. It's fatal, or it causes extensive damage. So I'm sorry, but again, if you have an animal that's sweet and just one day it flips out for no reason, like my ex, you never knew why, she freak. That's not that to me. That is a danger to society. It is, and I'm sorry to say that because as a dog lover, it pains me to say that.
I want to say something. I want to say something else, Jenny, because I know you're going to say something. One of our other likables, Gantry Standish, said, "Let me start by saying I'm a passionate animal lover. That said, there are too many instances where pit bulls attack and cause destruction. Hence the reason why they are often bred to fight. I realize that there are a lot of sweet and docile pit bulls. However, there are too many instances of violence, and the way that they're built, when they do attack, it's usually fatal." That's exactly what Paula said. Jenny, go ahead. Say something.
Okay, well, the first thing that I wanted to say is that when people say they attack for no reason, what they really mean is they attack for no reason that I understand. Dogs are not human beings, aside from the fact that they can't speak English very well.
But mine can. He's fluent in 7 languages.
Well, good. So you could ask him. If he ever flips out on you, you could ask him why. But at least none of my dogs are really, really good at English. And so, I have to sort of guess what they're talking about. And I think I know. But every once in a while, they do something that just totally baffles me. And for all you know, somebody was pulling their tail 5 minutes before the attack happened, or kicking them down the street. I mean, you don't know. And I'm not saying that these people who were hurt, I'm sure they didn't do anything, but maybe somebody did something to the dog 10 minutes prior and the dog was still worked up. There's no way for us to know. And maybe in the cases that were really publicized and really well researched, maybe people actually got a lot of information. But most of the time when something like that happens, there's just no way to understand what was really going on. And so I'm just saying, yeah, okay, I can understand where you're coming from on the well, they're inscrutable, they could attack at any time, but really for the most part, dogs don't attack without a reason, and that the reason they sometimes attack the wrong target. And I know this. I mean, I don't know if you can see this on the monitor, but you see this?
No. No, we
No.
can't see
Okay.
it, but I believe something's there.
Yeah, well, there's a huge scar. It goes from here to here and here and here. And that was my dog, not my pit bull, mind you. That was my dog who did this to me. And in this case, I know exactly what the reason was. She was having a fight with another dog, and I was stupid enough to get between them. But the fact remains that that my dog did not intend to hurt me. It just happened.
Okay, so
Personally, Chihuahuas scare the hell out of me.
okay, all right.
You're a little scary.
Tina, what do you got to say about pit bulls? Do you have a feeling about pit bulls?
I think that the pit bulls, it is part the owner and part the breed. I personally am terrified of them. I wouldn't want any child that I loved, never mind just loved, any child, period, around them. And I don't think that every person should be a pit bull owner. I think there should be some type of screening before a pit bull is purchased. And any dog can actually turn on you for anything. Yeah. Like Jenny said, you don't know what happened before or what the dog is thinking or if they feel threatened. But it does happen more often with pit bulls.
Okay,
Sorry.
Brian.
It does.
Yeah, my feelings are this. I think that it's mostly the owners. I know at least one pit bull who is an absolute sweetie. Whenever I deliver prescriptions to one of her owners, though, I always bring a milk bone with me. Otherwise,
That's pretty smart.
And also, I ask myself, if we abolish pit bulls, which breed is going to be next? Because if pit bulls are responsible
White
for
poodles.
71% of...
White poodles will be next, for sure.
If pit bulls are responsible for 71% of canine attacks, then subtract them, and some other breed, maybe Dobermans or something, are going to be responsible for the majority of attacks then.
They should just ban human beings.
There you go.
Yeah.
Ban humans.
Yay.
Some people do think that's a good idea. I am not, as yet, one of them. But
Certain human
anyway,
beings. Certain.
don't forget this too. Petey was a pit bull. Remember?
Yeah, we saw that. We saw that. Okay. All right. Let me just say that Kimberly Harrell says, I will weigh in with an opinion on the pit bulls. It is the breed primarily. I admit that it can also be the owners. However, I have sat in court to observe cases involving pit bulls, and many of the attacks are from the animals that have excellent homes. And she went on to say that in Florida, apparently Broward County, that it's no longer an option to ban these dogs, but there should be some legislation enacted upon that. And Alex also said most definitely the owner, and yes, people should be allowed to have them. I had two. They both went after my other dog for no reason. Just so you know, I had to put one down. He was 2 years old. It broke my heart. The other one I had to give back. I don't think those dogs are close to being... I think once in a while a few good ones come out. My neighbor's got one. I have no fear with that dog. It's a run. One of the questions on our Facebook page was, if you could have a dream job, what would it be? And Hillary said, I would be a vet. I love animals. My dad once told me I shouldn't be one because I get too attached. I kind of feel that. Ivana Kissia. Not Ivana Cassell. For two panelists that thought her name was Ivana Cassell. It's Ivana Kissia. She said she wants to be a tester in a sex toy store. And Rach Thrasher says, working at the White House. Rach, we want to know what you want to do at the White House. Jock Straps, said that he wants to be a bar stool and he'd do it for no pay. He says he's not gay. That's odd. Barbara says, stylist to the stars. Then she says, actually, I would love to go to med school. Cindy says, singing in the Paris sidewalk cafes. She's probably got a good voice. And Barbara, Debbie Levitas said that Barbara Ann would be a great doctor. And I wrote I wanted to write fortune cookies. Tina, what's your ultimate dream job?
I actually would love to have a home for troubled teens.
Oh, that's sweet.
Just nice. You know, a safe haven, so to speak. Just someplace they could go and not have to be questioned about what's going on, or just if they've got problems at home, just I would just love to have that. I've always thought about that, and someday maybe I can have that.
Absolutely.
That's what I would love.
Paula, dream job.
Well, I guess I wouldn't mind writing Jewish fortune cookies. It would be like, you will have headache today. But actually, I'd love to be a senator.
A senator. Go ahead. Why?
Well, I could really make my talk about, making an impact on the world, or on the country and the world, and maybe even president. Hey, let me tell you, with the way these last couple presidents have done, I could do no worse.
You can do no worse. Said it like a proud Jew at that. Jenny.
Absolutely.
What do you want to be, Jenny? Dream job.
Oh, let's go for the big guns. Screw the president thing. I want to be queen of the universe.
Okay, Brian. What do you want to be? Your dream job, Brian.
Whoa, that's a tough one. It's sort of a cross between maybe being able to have a no-kill shelter, a U.S. senator myself.
You mean we're not going to kill the senators? We're not a shelter for the senators that we don't.
Yeah.
They get to stay forever.
Only if they're lawyers.
Okay.
Actually, Lisa, if Brian and I were both senators, we could have one heck of a filibuster.
Probably.
The two of us would never stop talking. We could just do the filibuster, or just the two of us.
I'm still also considering I'm also considering launching a campaign just to see if it's possible to put oneself out there, without a lot of money.
Okay.
One thing I use the social networks for.
Very good. Very good. All right, let's jump to another topic on the Facebook wall, which was, what is your deal breaker in a romantic relationship? And let me say that Alex says cheating. Paula, you're in here, but you're already on the camera, so you can speak later. I'm in here too. Ivana, kiss you. She says to use her toys without her being there. I don't understand. Let him go for it when I'm tired. Let him go for it. Jock says, I hate to have to constantly remind the girls to put the seat up. It becomes habitual. That's a deal breaker for me.
That's a good one.
And Barbara says, cheating, stealing, lack of agreed upon ethics. So, Paula, why don't we start off with you on this one?
Well, kleptomaniacs, but if they're really hot, I'll overlook. No, cheating. Cheating is my deal breaker, and here's the deal, okay? Don't tell me, oh my gosh, I'm moonlighting for Sealy Posturepedic and I'm testing mattresses. This is my mattress colleague. No, you're cheating. And internet cheating is cheating. I had this girl tell me once, but I didn't go on a date. We're just cyber sexting. Or we were just planning a date via internet. Sorry, that's cheating.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, Tina, what's a deal breaker for you, Tina?
Honesty. If you don't have honesty, you don't have trust. If you don't have trust, you just don't have anything. Honesty is it. I don't care if it hurts me. I want to know the truth, and I will do the same. So.
What about you, Jenny? Deal breaker.
Well,
You're the one that's in a very long-standing relationship. Brian might be. We don't know yet. But you shared how long your relationship was last week. You're still together, right?
yeah.
Okay. So you're successful. You're successful. How do you keep it together? Jenny, how do you keep it together?
Yes, tell us, please.
It's just been so long that we've been together that I can't imagine living without her anymore. She's the only thing that's important. And if she left, I would have to hunt her down and kill me. So kill her.
Okay.
And if I tried to leave, she'd hunt me down and kill me. So I don't think there's any way we could break the deal even if we wanted to. It's too late.
Okay, Brian.
Well, one deal breaker is cheating. I think another deal breaker would be unyielding prejudice based on race, religion, ethnic group. When I say unyielding, I mean which will not yield to evidence to the contrary.
So you wouldn't, I'm guessing you wouldn't date like the Graham Kleagle of the KKK then?
You're about right.
Like,
I wouldn't date the,
what if she was hot, looked like Angelina Jolie? Would you overlook? Maybe. I'm just joking.
No. Because, you know what?
I'm joking.
I once wanted to go to bed with someone I thought was pretty hot, but when she started to talk about the Jews, no dice.
Okay, well, let me just tell you that the way I feel,
Right,
honestly.
I agree with you. I don't do racists or anti-Semites.
Right.
No, really? You? Anti-Semitism is a problem for you?
And look, if they're really hot, can you blame them? I mean, come on. We are a loud brood. Well, I could probably make Moses anti-Semitic, so.
Okay, let me just say this. Because I have the right to say. When you lie to me, I can't get past it. So honesty is another biggie. So here we go. We're going to bring up something a little political, again, from our Facebook wall. And it was a topic from a likable. Drug testing for welfare recipients would be a great topic. So Alex said that is a great topic. They should absolutely be drug tested before approval. Barbara says, I agree. If we are helping pay your bills, then abuse of said money should be stopped! Exclamation point. Ivana Kisayu says, random testing of all recipients should be mandatory. And Brian, I'm going to start with you because you had a comment on the Facebook wall. Tell us.
Yes, I'm all for that if the mandatory drug testing includes the following. All employees, including elected ones of the state, including the governor, and also including everybody who is awarded generous contracts from the state, and anyone who is subsidized to a considerable tune by the state as well. I mean, let all of them who handle our money be drug tested. Then I'll support it.
Paula. Go ahead, Paula.
Oh, come on, absolutely. I mean, look, if you're going to drug test me to get a job, you better drug test them if they're not going to get a job. Yep. And if my tax dollars are going to support you, I want to make sure you're not on drugs or using the money to get drugs. I'm sorry, but it infuriates me. The last few times I've gone to Publix, I'm always behind the person in line with the filet mignon and you like the designer food, and I don't know how they're doing this, but bottles of wine, 6 kids playing Game Boys, dressed to the hilt, okay, and they whip out their food stamps, and I'm sitting there in line with my Boyardee, and I'm like, all right, I'm sorry, but there's something wrong with this picture, and then they get in their BMW and they leave. Now explain that to me, and I know this is going off topic a bit, but I have so many ideas with how we could reform welfare. Like, have a limit on the amount of children you can have. It's pay by kid. Every kid, more money.
Yeah.
Stop it after 1 or 2 children. Why should I don't have children. Why should I be paying for somebody else's?
Brian, do you want to respond to that? Because she's looking at you, Brian. I see her looking at you.
Come on, Brian. Let's hear it.
Well, let's see. One thought flickered over my mind when Paula was saying something about reforming welfare, and my thought was chain gangs? Question mark.
I'm all for it. I'm all for it. You know what? Well, let me explain. Let me explain. Look, I was on unemployment. I lost my job. I've worked since I was 12 years old. Okay, I worked for a company for 25 years. They laid me off. I was on unemployment. Number one, I think they should have.
What were you doing at 12 years old?
I was working at the Jewish Community Center in the locker room. Anyway, I started young. Anyhow, all right. We won't even touch that. But of course I was paid. You know, my parents probably would have sold me into slavery if they could have. But no. I don't know. They were trying to play the angles, they were thinking, is there some slavery going on in like I don't know, Israel? They were trying to
Car for it.
All right. But anyhow, look, when I was on unemployment, I think that the government should have made me go out there and clean highways. Go out there and do a job. Why should have I been? I mean, seriously, if you're getting government money, you guys should pay it back somehow.
Well, wait a minute, Paula. Wait, whoa. Wait, I got something to say. Guys, Paula, I'm going to argue on Brian's behalf because every time I've ever worked a job, I've paid into my unemployment. So have you.
I understand that, but still, okay, guys, I get that. So maybe unemployment isn't the best example, but I still think, even when you're on unemployment, you should still, first of all, it's almost like some people have an incentive of staying on unemployment. Get out there and help your country, help your city.
Paula, you have to look for enough jobs to know that in and of itself is a full-time job.
Brian, actually, it is for me, but
yeah, it's for most of it.
Wait a minute. When I first got on unemployment, you were required to apply for 2 jobs a week. Now they raised it to 5 a week. Ooh, I mean, I'm sorry, 5 a week. You know what? In my opinion, you should be spending the 8 hours you would be at a job applying for jobs. And let me tell you, there aren't a lot of jobs out there. It's very scary, the economy and the job market.
Tell me about it.
They're all overseas.
Tell me about it.
Okay, I want to give Jenny and Tina a chance. Jenny, do you remember what the topic was, Jenny?
I was just wondering which part of the topics I should answer.
Actually, the topic was about being on unemployment and having drug tests.
Right, okay.
No, welfare, being on welfare.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's right. Paula turned it into an unemployment issue. Go ahead. You're right. Go ahead, Jenny.
Okay, well, I have a somewhat different view from everybody else. While I certainly agree that, in theory, drug testing is a great idea, I have one big, huge problem with it. You know that our country is practically broke, right? And do you know how much drug testing costs? And
well, take it out of their first welfare check. Take it out of their first welfare check.
Well, sure, if you could, as long as you make them pay for it.
Absolutely.
Of course, then they're going to scream that's not fair because our checks are so small. But aside from that, if they pay for it, that's one thing. But if the taxpayers are paying for all of the drug testing as well as all of the welfare, it strikes me that we're just paying more, and I'd rather just pay less. So to me, it seems like financially speaking, it doesn't make sense.
That's a good point. Jenny, Tina, what's your feeling?
I feel that they should be drug tested. We're drug tested to get jobs. So and just like I agree with Paula, you know, if we have to be tested to get a job, why shouldn't they be tested to not get a job? You know, they're getting government assistance. They should be tested.
Okay, very good. All right. So listen. So on that subject, more or less, I put up a post that said, "Should we legalize marijuana? Nay, yay, and why?" So Keith said, considering that some, in particular men, experience severe psychosis from smoking pot, I'd keep it illegal. There are ways to get the alleged health benefits without smoking it up. We passed a medical marijuana law in Michigan, and it's been so abused by recreational users that it will probably be repealed. Well, first of all, I wasn't talking about for medical use. I was talking about for social use, like alcohol. But I should have been clear with that. Jock said yes! Exclamation point. If Colorado can do it, why can't we do it? And he's from Florida. So, you know what? I'm a person that I've never been a drinker, but occasionally I like to hit a little bit. So when I come home, if I want to hit a little bit, I should be able to without having to be up against the law about it. I believe it should be handled the same way as alcohol. You shouldn't be able to drive under the influence, but I think that we could take that money and get that money to good use. All right, so I'm going to hit up this time Tina. What do you think?
Well, you're not going to like this, Lisa, but I feel that there's enough idiots in the world. We don't need them to be stoned, too. No offense. I love you, but
I don't think you've ever seen me stoned in the past 20 years, Tina.
I probably have not, but I just, you know, if it's for medicinal purposes, that's fine, and it should be regulated under a physician's care, but not for recreational use.
Okay, Paula, what are you thinking?
Oh, absolutely legalize pot. Absolutely. First of all, if they legalize pot, it could be a source of tax revenue, job creation, an enormous. Think about the money that's raised through taxing alcohol and cigarettes, and also police and court resources and jails would be freed up for more serious crimes. I mean, think about it, guys. Since 1990, nearly 6 million Americans have been arrested on marijuana charges. I mean, think about that. I mean, if we get rid of that, think about the resources that could be opened up. Also, the FDA could regulate the safety of the drug, and the increased trade would help stabilize struggling third world economies as well. I mean, it's a win-win, and it's no worse than drinking. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous that our country still hasn't legalized pot. Absolutely ridiculous. I have friends. Now I don't smoke pot. I don't, and I don't really drink either. So quite boring. What can I say? But my friends who smoke pot are actually nicer when they're stoned than when they're not.
Okay, so Brian, what? I'm gonna go to you, Brian, because you and Paula like to bat each other around a little bit. What's your feeling about that?
But this time, Lisa, I could hardly.
You're a bunch of stoners. You're on the same side of the fence.
I don't care. I don't care for pot myself. The last time I toked was Christmas 1981.
That was when it was called toked, Brian.
Eyes felt all tight and loose in all the wrong places. Scared the crap out of me. I haven't taken a toke since. But look at it this way. When we repealed Prohibition, we didn't become a nation of fall-down drunks. And if we legalized cannabis, we will not become a nation of stoners either. I think cannabis should be legalized, regulated, and taxed on the same and sold the same way alcohol is.
Okay, let's ask.
So, with any luck, it will deal a mortal blow to the private prison business, which I consider pernicious, is a mild way of putting it.
Absolutely.
Hang on a second, Jenny. I'm gonna hit you in a minute. Tina's got her hand up. Tina.
But Brian, the kids of today, they don't have the same values as the kids of back then did. So I don't know.
That's what every generation says, Tina. Come on.
Okay, Jenny.
I agree with Tina's right. I'm sorry, Brian. The kids today, they're a different animal than when we were kids.
They sure are.
My toy was a Slinky. Their toy is let's shoot to death people on a video game and we'll desensitize ourselves to murder. You cannot compare the kids today with the kids of our generation. You
Well,
can't.
that actually argues in favor of legalizing cannabis, because if these kids are stoned, they will probably be a lot less prone to murdering.
Let me get Jenny's opinion here. Hang on, Jenny.
People on welfare.
Jenny, what do you think? Yay or nay? Legalization of marijuana.
Well, yay. Believe it or not, I've never touched the stuff myself. In fact,
No, Jenny, really?
Seriously, I've never touched this stuff myself, and in fact, I
thought you were a heroin addict.
I'm sure you did. I mean, I know I act like it.
Okay, so Jenny, wait. Let Jenny continue on, guys.
I used to actually arrest, well, not me personally. I used to work for an organization that arrests people. It's called U.S. Customs Service. So, I definitely have a very strong foot in the anti-drug camp, but the problem with the anti-drug camp is that we are spending millions of dollars every year, even every month, just fighting drugs in our own country, outside our borders.
Right.
We're a broke nation, once again. We can't afford this stupid war. It's a stupid war. I mean, why do we even care?
Right.
Just because I wouldn't touch it doesn't mean that I can't appreciate the fact that it's no worse than alcohol. And and then if we legalize it, what's going to happen? I mean, Paul has already pretty much said this, but I'm going to say it again. If we legalize it, what's going to happen is that we're going to start getting people who are legally growing and packaging it up and selling it in stores, that they are going to be selling it to people for a smaller amount of money than they are currently paying, those of them who are currently using. So those people will be very happy, but the government will be getting, let's say, a sin tax of, I'm just making up this number, the government might come up with a totally different number, but let's say we put a sin tax of $1 per pound on it. Well, every time somebody goes out and buys a pound of marijuana, the government becomes $1 richer. Now, if you figure that the usage doesn't change, I mean, I can't remember the number off the top of my head, but you can definitely figure that we can practically pull out of our debt very quickly just by the sin tax of $1 a pound.
Yeah.
Hmm.